What do you think is a beauty standard here? What is a beauty standard in Canada? Okay, so what do you think is a beauty standard for girls in Canada?
It's about like huge boobs and a huge ass.
Okay, so thank you so much for your time. First, where are you from?
I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia.
Okay, what about you?
I'm from Niagara Falls, Ontario.
I'm from Milton, Ontario.
Okay, so you all from Canada, like
Yes.
Canadian girls.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so in this video, I want to ask you guys about the beauty standard in Western countries and Canada. Okay, so the first question, what do you think is a beauty standard here?
I think that the beauty standard has to do a lot with like social media and movies and things definitely that have like big boobs and big butt and like big makeup and like hair and like very like upfront, not
Right.
like
Yeah, kind of unnatural, I guess. Pretty wide variety of beauty standard, kind of
Yeah.
that ranges between people, I guess. Pretty much what you said.
yeah.
Yeah,
Big
I think that's
boobs,
true. I
big
agree with
butt.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
What do you think?
Pretty much the same thing. I feel like because there's like a wide variety of people, it's becoming more like the beauty standard is becoming more widely accepted. But pretty much the same thing. Like very fake. Yeah.
Very fake.
Yeah,
very
fake,
fake. Okay.
yeah.
So you guys just mentioned about like looks, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of like the personality inside, what type of like personality can be attractive here? Can attract people more?
I feel like people are always expecting everyone to be nice all the time and like not like, especially with like cancel culture, like people are always like, oh, like, you have to be nice and like accept everything and like, but it's just, I don't know. I feel like it can be like you're just supposed to be like happy and okay with everything, which is like not realistic at all. But
To be sweet and have a positive outlook.
Right.
Maybe like support people as best you can.
Right.
Depending on your situation.
Positive vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. What do you think?
For girls, I think it's really different than for guys. I feel like you have to be a little bit more reserved, more quiet to be accepted, because if you have any sort of like personality, then you're probably taking up too much space, you're too loud, obnoxious, and annoying. Whereas if a man was to do the same thing, he's like assertive and he's like a leader. So I feel like the standard here is for girls to be like reserved and more to themselves and quiet.
Okay, that's very interesting. I thought that's a more like an Asian culture. Girls should be like more reserved, like be not quiet, but be a little humble compared to
Yeah.
guys. But
Yeah.
do you think that still applies to Canada?
Somewhat, probably not to the same extent as it is probably in Japan, but I feel like it definitely still applies here. Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. So in Japan, this might be a little stereotypical, but there's a like general idea that girls should be like skinny, pale, should have like black hair kind of stuff. It's, of course, everybody's different, but do you think that can apply here too? Like,
I feel like it always changes. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there's like social media influencers who are like what you would consider like thick, and then there's like social media influencers who are like super skinny, like that like runway model look, and it's just like it's totally different, but they both have like the same amount of attention, just like in like I guess like it's just like preference, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like there's just like so many different kinds of like classic, like what people find like beautiful, and that's just like I don't know.
That's true.
But there's definitely like lots of different, but like yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I feel like it's really depends here. I feel like people have a lot of different preferences.
Especially in Toronto, it's
Yeah.
very diverse. Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of different people and a lot of different looks. It just really depends, I feel like, on what you like.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't think that there's like too much of like a set like standard like that where like it's like skinny, black hair, pale. I feel like it's people are more accepting of different kinds of beauty here. Especially in the city though. It's a
Right.
big difference, yeah.
Okay. So last but not least, do you think you're attractive?
Yes.
Yes, 100%.
You guys should think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
It's
are
obvious.
attractive.
To somebody.
They're attractive.
You
Oh,
all
yeah,
super
beautiful
attractive.
ladies.
It is very obvious.
And you're attractive too.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
course.
Okay, that's all. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much for your time. First, where are you from?
I'm from London, Ontario.
Okay.
I'm also from London, Ontario.
Okay, that's cool. So in this video, I want to ask you guys about the beauty standard in Canada. Okay, so what is a beauty standard in Canada? What do you think?
I feel like they're changing a lot of the times. I feel like we heavily are influenced by the United States. So I feel like right now, I feel like heroin chic is like kind of coming back, like skinnier body types, whereas before it was like the BBLs, like the tan skin, the Kardashian look, that kind of thing. I feel like Canada relies heavily on the media and the US to kind of get our beauty standards and our beauty trends, and I feel like they're always changing within Canada.
Right, that's true. What do you
Yeah, I
think?
was gonna say the same thing. I think it evolves constantly. Like every few years, there's like some new trends, and like same thing, like just social media.
Right.
I feel like specifically the Kardashians as well.
I feel
Whatever
like
they're
it's
up
exhausting to catch up to all the new trends all the time. There's always something new that we have to
Right.
be looking like, or okay, now we can be skinny, and now we can be curvy, and now we can be athletic, and now we want muscle, and so it's always ever changing.
Yeah, it's been changing too hard to catch up every time, right?
Definitely.
So right now, do you think there's a beauty standard that came from like Korea, K-pop, like to have like pale skin, like K-pop idols
Yeah.
have that type of like looks? I think.
I would say like maybe in certain pockets of Canada, like depending on, like I feel like in Toronto there's probably like a very niche population where that's like more popular, but I feel like we don't really get the heavily influence from there, but there could be in smaller pockets, like in Toronto for example. I feel like we would pull from other cities too, just because it's a big city with multicultural aspects. I feel like they would pull from more popular trends from all over different countries.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. What do you think?
I don't know about the being like pale specifically, but I do see a lot of trends in terms of like makeup. I feel like
Right.
makeup stuff that's
Yeah.
going on right now is very inspired by that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so just a little related to what I said. So in Japan, like a beauty standard is like to have pale skin, to have black hair, to be skinny. Even about the behavior, like girls are expected to behave like a certain way,
Sure.
to be humble, to be a little
Yeah.
reserved.
Right.
But what do you think about that?
I feel like in Canada, we as women try to break the standard where we're kind of like silenced and that we don't really have a voice. And I feel like in Canada, we are encouraged to speak out and embrace our changes and embrace our differences as women. And we try to come together as women and be strong as women. And I think that we try to have our kind of own voice as women that, we don't really heavily weigh on what men think of us. We try to like stick together as women and just empower each other.
Right. That is a cool answer.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, I think we're a lot more forward
Yeah.
here. I
Right.
don't know, like I feel like there are a lot of things that go into that. I think kind of with social media and like hookup culture now too, it's very much like the women are as forward as the men are now.
Oh yeah?
So there's a lot less, like I wouldn't say I'm expected to be quiet or reserved in any way.
No.
Okay. So you feel like men and women are pretty equal in Canada?
I think there's been a push for that.
There's been
Yeah.
a push for that where women are now saying, hey, we actually have a lot we can bring to the table and we don't have to wait for a man to tell us what we need to bring.
Okay. Very cool. Like strong answer from you guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
No worries, thank you.
So thank you so much for your time. First, where are you from?
I'm from Canada, Toronto.
Okay, Toronto. Okay, so in this video, I want to ask you about the beauty standard in Canada. Okay, so what do you think is the beauty standard for girls in Canada?
Just because Canada is really multicultural, obviously there's a lot of differences. But more specifically, like Western and North American beauty standards are very geared towards like the hourglass figures, and it's very influencer-esque. So like Kim Kardashian and celebrities definitely influence it a lot more. There's a trend about having tan skin, being toned, and like having a super tiny waist but like huge boobs and a huge ass. Yeah, so it's definitely more like compared to, I know, Asian beauty standards, like more like, oh, healthy, athletic, but it's not necessarily healthy all the time.
Okay, that's very interesting. Yeah, I think the social media influences a lot in terms of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so in my country, Japan, I think the beauty standard for women is like to have black hair, to pale, to be skinny, as you just mentioned. But do you think that applies here as well?
Sort of. So, well, obviously it's a little bit different for me because I'm Asian, and like with my family and culture, there's definitely those contrasting ideas of like in China, like the beauty standards are similar to Japan. And it's just weird for me because like I get like the Western beauty standards thrown at me and then the Asian ones, and it's just very contrasting, and it's like you can never there's no way you're ever gonna live up to any beauty standards, because if I'm tan, then like, oh, I fit the ones in Canada, but I don't fit the ones like in Asia, and then it's just always the opposite. There's like no way you can really win.
Right.
I don't think either is healthy necessarily.
Right, especially in Toronto, it's very diverse, so
Mhm.
any type of looks can be attractive, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very true. Okay, so speaking of like body figure, I think in Japan at least, it's pretty common to like mentioning about people's body type, even like between couples, like oh, you should gain weight, you should lose your weight. So do you think that's common in Canada or in culture in China?
It's not uncommon, but it's definitely frowned upon.
Right.
I would say, especially with the feminist movement and more people becoming like aware that beauty standards are fake and that they shouldn't really exist because they're unrealistic. But there's definitely still like traditional like heterosexual views, I find, where people like, specifically I would say men typically tell their girlfriends more so to lose weight or to gain or like fit however they want to see their significant other as. And it's definitely a lot of pressure, but I don't think, I would say that exists in an unhealthy relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So last but not least, do you think you're attractive?
Me?
Yes.
I think I'm like average, I would say.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Think average?
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, as just one of Japanese guys, I don't think you're not the average for sure.
Oh. As in I'm worse?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Above.
Oh, thanks.
Sorry, so yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.